This is Paramveer Singh, and this is our session on storing options available in Android. In this session, we'll be talking about the need of storing data locally in the device, different options available in Android for storing your data, depending on the kind, the type, and the amount of storage you need. And we will then talk about the first and most simple case of storing data, that is preferences, although we have already discussed about it a little in our last session. Then we'll go on to talk about internal storage as well as external storage options. There is a little difference between internal and external storage options depending on the amount of data we need to store and the access we want to give to that data. So let's talk about the need of storing data locally in the device. The first and most important reason is fast access to local data. When an app stores the data locally, it can display that data without any delay to user whenever the user needs it. But if the same data is downloaded from the server, whatever the speed of the internet connection is, there will be a little delay in downloading that data and displaying it to the user. In Android or in any mobile application, our first and foremost concern is giving a smooth user experience to user, and to help this experience we need to store this data in our local storage so that the app doesn't have to load the data every time when the user needs it. Other reasons are no need to download same data again. For example, take the case of a shopping application. In a shopping application, there are hundreds or thousands of products and different categories. Whenever the user browses those categories, it goes through the same product list again and again. And the app needs to download those products again and again whenever the user comes to the same category. So if apps start downloading and saving this data, at least a little amount of those data in local cache, the app can go without using internet and processing that data again and again by downloading it. The other reason is sharing data between apps. Two apps can share data. For example, Contacts app has to make the contact data available to every other app so that every other app accesses the contacts data. The other option is the other reason is storing user settings locally. Take the example of a social networking app like Facebook or WhatsApp. The user has to save different preferences. For example, uh, the ringtone for the messages, uh, the username, the profile name, other settings like notification turned on or turned off. So all these user preferences are saved locally and they are not saved on the server, so that whenever the app opens, it is available to the app at that instant, and the app can use those preferences to further do its work. So what are the requirements? There are different requirements depending on the type of data we need to store, the amount of data we need to store, and the access we want to give that data. For example, some data we need to store privately to the app, and some data we want the app to be available to other apps. First is only small values like username, password, volume level, ringtone, type, etc. These are small values, and these can be represented by primitive values, and these are also private to the app. No other app needs to know whether you have turned your app notifications in your WhatsApp app off or on. Other kind of data is database, the structured data of the app. For example, in shopping app, there are hundreds or thousands of products with the title, price, discount available, details, and other uh, descriptions attached to that product. In any other app, like for example, company app, there may be the database of employee details that the app needs to store locally. And these are also private to the app. No other app needs to or should not access these data, which is private and confidential. Other type of data we need to store is downloaded images. For example, WhatsApp profile images, downloaded songs, for example, songs from Wink Music app, or other PDF docs or other documents downloaded from browser or any other app, which we want that not that particular app could open, or we can access or share it via other apps also. So these are available to user and other apps publicly. So main type of data which we need to store is small values, database, or image, audio, PDFs, and the access options we want to give is either a private or public, that's available to user and other apps. So depending on these factors, we divide our storage options, and we will choose any of the storage option depending on what is our requirement. So what are the data options available? There are many different options available, as I said, depending on type and size of the data to be stored. First is, and the simplest option is, shared preferences. This is used to store the data in key value pairs. Second is to store structured data in SQL format. We use Sqlite for this in Android. Sqlite is the lighter or miniature version of SQL, and it is very efficient. Sqlite was designed for mobile devices or light devices specifically. It is used to store private data for the app, and it is structured. And we can also give it public access via using content providers. So content providers are the layer of over SQLite data or any other structured data which we want to share with other apps. Using SQLite only, we can't give public access to our data to other applications. The third option is file storage. File storage is used to store raw files like images, audio, videos, or even our text files in raw format, either in memory card or SD card available. Again, content providers, it is used to store structured or semi-structured data, and it is not in itself data storage format, but it is a layer on the other formats like SQLite or XML files, and it is required when we want our data to be accessible by other apps. The last option is cloud storage. When we want our data to be stored not locally but on our server or any other third party server, we can use different APIs for this, like Parse API, Google Skydive, etc. And we'll be talking about in later sessions. In this session or in the following session, we'll be talking about only shared preferences, SQLite, and file storage options, because these are the important ones for storing data locally. Shared preferences. In shared preferences, Primitive data values are stored in key value pairs. For example, this is key and this is the values stored against this key, and these values are stored like this in a table. Value 1 is stored against key 1, value 2 is again key 2, and so on. Take example of this login page. The user has entered email and password and then logged in, and I want to store this username, password and logged in information in preferences, and the values will be stored like this. Username is the key, paramir is the value, and then password is the key, pair at the rate 123 is the value, and logged in, true, and so on. So this is very simple code for saving values in shared preferences. Shared preferences is the API class available in Android, and we can use this method activity.getSharedPreferences to get reference to preference object. Preference name is any key or name given to the preferences we want to give, or and the mode private is the access option. It says that this shared preferences is only privately available to the app. In earlier versions, there were also options like mode public, but now it is deprecated. So this is now as a default mode for preferences. So activity is the object available or the context available in your activity class. So you can just write get shared preferences in your activity class and you will get the preferences object. Then to save values or to edit already saved values, we will get the reference to editor object using preferences.edit. So this is very simple. You just first got the reference to preferences object and then editor to those preferences, and then you will start putting values using put string, put boolean, put int or other put methods using key and value. Editor.putString username paramir. So here username is the key and paramir is the value, and so on. Password is the key, pair at the rate 123 is the value. Here I am using put boolean to store boolean values. If there was earlier any other value stored against username, it will be overwritten by paramir now. So to change or to add new value, the same methods are used, put methods. How will be retrieving the values? Almost the similar code will be used. The only difference is you will not have to use editor now. You will just need preferences object now. You will get the preferences object in the same way as earlier, and you now will use getter methods using keys, passing keys as the parameter. Preferences.getString username, the key of the username, get string password, get boolean logged in. Second parameter you can see here is the default value to be returned by this method, getter method, when there is no value saved against these keys. So for example, for the first time when the app has been just installed, there was no username stored for username key. So this will return empty string for the username key or password key. Internal storage. Internal storage is used to store files in device primary memory. The primary memory is the one which is limited and which is not including SD card memory. We can use internal storage for saving images, text data, etc. to be used in the app repeatedly. This internal storage is private to the app and it is hidden from the user and other apps. It is not accessible by the user or other apps. It is also limited in storage. You should not save data in hundreds of MBs in your internal storage because there is another storage option available, that is external storage, which is generally very big in its space, like 16 GB or 32 GB, and you can store hundreds of images or songs there in external storage. Also, the internal storage is cleared with the app install. Whatever the images or sound files you have stored in your internal storage, it will be deleted when you install the app, uninstall the app. So this is the simple flow of storing data. This is the Home Shop 18 app, and these are three banner images being shown in this because that these are limited in number. Only three. We can store it in our internal storage because these are the ones which we see every time we open the app, and uh, these are displayed repeatedly. These are accessed repeatedly. We can store it in internal storage. This is the internal storage of the app, and these are the specific files of Home Shop 18 app stored in this. Saving to internal storage. So again, very simple 3 or 4 lines code for storing data. This is a file name. You can use any file name. This is the text you want to store in myfile.txt. So this is the code you will be using to store data. File output stream, FOS is equal to open file output. This method is available in context or your activity class, and you can pass it two parameters. First is the file name, and again the second is the mode private. You would want to keep it private because you would not want your internal storage data to be accessible by other apps. So open file in output method will open a output stream for us to write our data in the bytes. This is plain Java concept of input output stream, and if you don't know about input and output stream how they work, you should read about at least the basic knowledge you have about input and output streams and writing and reading data from streams. So there is nothing fancy about it. You just get reference to file output stream and then write bytes of your data to that stream and then close it. Here we are passing, here we are converting the text we have written here in bytes because dot write method will only get bytes and not plain text. Let me see you it in code. So here is the onCreate method of the activity. Here is the method save message in internal. So this is the message I am passing. This is advisor. This is the method I have created here. So what I am doing here is I've got a file name my file output stream null, and then I'll get the reference to file output stream using open file output. See the documentation. This opens a private file associated with the context application package for writing. So this is by default private to the app because it is associated with the applications package. It creates the file if it doesn't exist, and no permissions are required to invoke this method since it is used internally. We don't have to use any permission or declare any permission in our manifest file for using it. After getting the reference, we'll just write bytes of our data. We'll first convert our text into bytes and we'll write it, and we'll close the stream. This is very important. Use closing the stream after writing or getting reading the data from the stream. File not found exception or IO exceptions can occur if either the file name is not available or there is any other error occurs while writing data in that stream. Similar code is used to read the data from internal storage. This is the code for reading data here. Instead of using file output stream, we'll use now file input stream, and we'll use this method open file input giving the file name. Documentation says open a private file associated with the context application package for reading. So what I am doing here is file input stream I'm using to read bytes one by one. So what read method does is it returns the bytes one by one, and at one time it returns only one byte, and I'm using it in a while loop to retrieve all the bytes saved in that particular file. And if you see the documentation of read, it says it returns -1 if the end of stream has been reached. So in the while loop, I have applied a condition that it will read until -1 is reached. And for every red byte, I will typecast into character, and I will append it to builder. I've created a builder here. I've used string builder instead of string because of the efficiency it provides while concatenating strings. The same exceptions can occur here: file not found exception and IO exception. After the while loop, I'll get the message from the string builder, I'll get the text from string builder, and I will display this text. I can show you the output here. This was the earlier change. Let me change the method here. Let me run this again. It'll take some time. If we open this, it says the message is this is advisor. what I have done is on create method I have called these two methods in succession. First I save this message, this is advisor, and then I get this message from the same storage and display it in a toast message. Let's come to the slide now. We have seen that retrieving from internal storage we can use open file input and pass it the name of the file. It will give us a file input stream, and we can use read method to read bytes one by one from that input stream, and then we'll have to close that input stream. That's it. Other methods which are important and which are available for playing with the internal storage are get file directory. Using this method we can get absolute path to the file system directory. Using get directory we can create or open a already available directory. We can use delete file, and the other one is file list in case you need to see or display the list of files available or stored. We'll go through these methods and other methods in detail in our next video. Let's give an idea about external storage. So in external storage too, we can save our private files as well as public files. Private files, all the apps, all the storage or all the files we stored are private to the app and hidden to the app and user. Although these are stored in external storage, but still they are private to the app. And public files, if we store files publicly, these are available to user as well as other apps. Private files get deleted when the app is uninstalled, but public files are available even when the app is uninstalled. Private files are generally used for storing images, audios, and other data downloaded by the app, but not useful outside the app. Take the example of product images in a shopping app. Product images are not very useful outside the app, and it should not be available because of the confidential content to other apps. But take the example of downloaded or purchased songs or edited photos from any of your photo editor app. This should be available in the app as well as to other apps or for the user to see and share. So these are stored publicly. External storage, saving in public. As I said, examples are songs purchased via an app, photos edited by a photo editor app, PDF document downloaded on browser, pics received in a chat app. These are all public data. So this should be stored in public storage. Storing to an external file. These are four-step process. First, we ask for permission. Permission is required because when your app has access to the external storage of the device where every data is stored, any malicious app can delete or access that data to use in any way. So because this is critical and we know for every critical operation we need to declare permission, storing to external file also need permission. Then we'll check if external storage is available or not. This is required because sometimes we dismount our SD card from our device. We just take out our SD card and we use it in our laptop or somehow in other phone. So this is important to check if the external storage is even available. Third step is creating file with the given path. We just create a file with the given path. For example, if you notice in file browser of your device, for every for almost every app there is a folder in your external storage. For example, WhatsApp. For WhatsApp, there is a WhatsApp folder, and in that folder, there are other folders like profile, images, cache, and other folders which the WhatsApp app stores or used to store different type of data. The fourth step is saving data. So first we ask for permission, then check if storage is available, then create file and give with the given path and save the data, and that's it. Asking for permission is just a one-time process or one-line code. We just declare our permission in our manifest file using this. The permission to be used is write external storage. There is another permission, that is read external storage, that is used for only reading the data. And if we want to uh, write as well as read the data, we use this write external storage. Then we will check if the external storage is available or not. We use this method get external storage state. So environment is a class, API class of Android, which gives us access to the different features or different values provided in whole Android environment. So we use method get external storage state, and it will return a state, and we'll check what is the state. Media mounted is a state when the SD card or the external storage of any kind is currently available. So we'll see if it is mounted or not. If it is, we'll return true. If the media is available, if the external storage is available, we'll create a new file. Using this method, get external storage public directory. This is a long method name, and these are the two parameters. This is the one parameter for this method. Get external storage public directory pictures, and we can even use videos and other directories. These are predefined directories which we can use to open a file in that particular folder. You might have seen or noticed these uh, folders in your Android device. There is a folder with pictures and then videos and then DCIM, audio, and other some folders. So we can create our public files only in one of these folders. This is a file name we want to give to that particular file, and we will then check if that file is either available or created. So mkdirs is the method we use to know if the file is created or already existed. So when it is created, we return this file. So this is the full method name, get external storage public directory. This gives us the access to the publicly available folders in Android device. These are the folders: directory music, ringtones, alarms, picture, download, DCAM. We can use any of them depending on our requirement. If we want to save ringtones, we'll use ringtones folder. If we want to save music, we will use this folder. Let's see some code here. So this is the code for reading file. I've used this method, get file directory. This will return the absolute path to the directory on file system where files created with open file output. First, I have created a string builder and a buffer reader. In buffer reader, I'm passing a file reader